Welcome aboard. My name is Joe Farkas, and I'm the architect of this ship. And I'd like to tell you a story. This ship, the design of this ship, as well as all the ships that I have done for Carnival Cruise Lines, has a story. And that story begins with an idea. It's what I'd call a central idea. And that idea is some people like to call it a theme. I don't. It is a point where I begin all the designs. It's an intellectual idea for me to build artistic creations around that all of the public rooms on board of the ship follow, so that to me there is a coherence in the design that varies in how that's interpreted from room to room. The process begins by making the drawings that flesh out the central idea. These are all architectural drawings done to scale that show the floor plans, the ceiling plans, the main elevations and details, some of which we do on computer, but again, the initial drawings are all done by hand. Basically, everything that you see on this ship today is laid out by us and specified by us so that every note is carried out in some particular material or detail around the ship. We then turn all this documentation over to the shipyard, who in turn turns it over to the subcontractors who make each individual public room. And during this whole course of roughly about 2 years, we are in constant touch with the shipyard, going to the subcontractor, seeing mock-ups, watching it under construction. So it is a total hands-on job until the ship is finished and we're all sitting on board like we are now. The Carnival Glory is all about color. Again, when I came to start the design work of this ship, color came into my mind, and I thought, my God, color is in everything. Color makes emotion. We all react to color. You can create moods with color, and it's what I do anyway. And I thought, why not make this ship just an ode to color and go from there, so that every room on this ship would feature some color in some interesting and clever way, hopefully, so that it could be realized in architectural terms. When it came time to start the design, as I always start with the lobbies and the promenades and stairways, I decided to just go for all the colors. And this was achieved by using backgrounds that had no color, or white or silver, creating very interesting forms that light could reflect off of. And a relatively new form of lighting has come around in the last couple of years called LED lighting, light-emitting diodes. And that's what we have used throughout. So we created this special light panel, and each color is controlled by a computer. And by doing this, we can create all sorts of interesting patterns that can be all one color at one time, or at another time every color in the rainbow. When I began the design work for our main theater, I was trying to figure out what color. And my mind somehow wandered to Tsarist Russia and a particular room that was world famous that has since disappeared, called the Amber Palace. And this room in the palace was made entirely of amber, very precious material. The amber itself in the palace was actually only small pieces, and they're put together like a mosaic. And we use that very same technique to create the amber panels that are within this theater. And then the other details of the room are sort of Rococo details, all painted to look like this amber mosaic. So we have this very elegant palatial setting. For the smaller show lounge on this ship, I went to Africa for the color, the ebony lounge. And I created what to me looked like African details with interesting woodwork and black panels and vitrines that feature real African masks that we had bought from various sources. So they're all old, interesting ceremonial masks coming from various tribes within Africa. The main restaurants, the color scheme went to metallic colors. We have the golden dining room and the platinum dining room. The overall details are done in a very contemporary style with sort of geometric forms. And if you study Japanese art, you'll see a lot of murals in Japan that are painted either on gold leaf or on silver leaf. And that's what I did in these two restaurants. We have these big ceiling panels and wall panels that are done in gold leaf or silver leaf. And then there's hand-painted Japanese cherry trees, sort of like bonsai trees, with this motif on it. The supper club on the ship should be the richest restaurant on board, so I went to Precious in my selection of colors, emerald for this one. And emerald is represented in recreations of emerald stones done as light fittings throughout the room. So we have a mosaic of emerald lights that are on the edges of the ceiling panels, and there's a construction that looks like a giant emerald piece of jewelry, if you will, that flanks the dance floor. And this is combined with different woods inlaid into geometric forms throughout the room. When it came time to do the design for the Lido restaurant, our casual restaurant on board, and thinking of colors, the idea of sailboats came to mind, and the sailboats that have the red sails. And what I did here was to create sort of a combination of an interior of a sailing yacht with wood beams, wood ceilings, and then there are decorations around the room between the banquettes and so forth that are miniature recreations of masts of sailing ships with the yard arms and red sails tied to them in the old traditional way. What color do you do a casino in? I thought camel. Seems kind of strange, but again, when you do a casino, or when I do a casino, I want a fun atmosphere. And when I think of the color camel, I think of Egypt and camels in the desert. So we created a room which is sort of like an old Egyptian temple. So we had these big sculptures of full-size camels kneeling around the room at various points, particularly at the entrances. And then the rest of the details of the room follow the ancient Egyptian mythology. You see statues of Anubis, which is one of the gods of the underworld in Egyptian mythology, and hieroglyphics and murals of the time when Egypt was sort of discovered by the Europeans. Green is the color of the sports bar on the green. And of course the sport is golf. I have vitrines throughout the room that hold antique golf bags and golf clubs. They are surmounted by a stained glass lamp that looks like the hole flag that you would see on the golf course. The bar stools are made of a half golf ball sitting on a tee, and the sofas are made in green leather also, with the hole numbers carried out in leather and sewn in to form, a real golfer's bar. And also we have murals on the wall of some of the most famous golf courses in the world. White might seem an odd color for a nightclub, but if you combine it with heat, you have the White Heat Dance Club. And that brought me to candles. So I have white candles throughout the room. Tiny ones, medium-sized ones, big ones, all with LED flames that they all can come in different colors. And you combining that with the disco lights that are in the room, it creates a really very special atmosphere that is kind of wild and like nothing I've ever seen before. The piano bar, I was looking for another color and came upon a play on words of the color cinnabar, which is a reddish-orange color. And I made a completely non-traditional design here, which is strictly an artistic expression, where we have used all the surfaces colored in cinnabar and created light fittings that sort of go around the room like a bar of music you might see in a cartoon. In our jazz club, the color blue for the blues came to me right away, and I made a room that was totally blue. And when giving form to this and thinking about what's blue, I came upon peacock feather. So you will see in this room die-cut polished stainless steel large peacock feathers, and where the eye of the feather should be, it's all done in stained glass to give you that blue atmosphere. That motif is also reflected in the lit ceiling over the dance floor with colored glass, Tiffany glass if you will, in the peacock pattern and in the inlays on the floor. Our cigar bar is the Ivory Club, and I did go back to white here because I was looking for sort of the British colonial club feeling, and what's more British colonial than India, and what's India known for? Elephants and ivory tusks. So you'll see throughout the room large reproductions, and they're not real, of ivory tusks, even though they look very real. And Indian motif murals throughout the room, and really Indian architectural details that are carried out in white and various colors, including bas-relief designs that look like they're carved out of ivory. What we have on board, it's an experience. It's something meant for you to have fun and enjoy and relax and all of those things that you've come on board the ship for. And we spare really no expense in making that happen. Almost nothing that you see on board is off-the-shelf material, so to speak. Everything follows the specifications that I mentioned, but they're all custom-made pieces. It's not a museum, but in a way it's like going to a museum because there is so much to see. And it will really enhance your cruise, I think, by making this a discovery process. My hope is that the environment itself will engender this type of exploration and discovery process. Further, I hope by the end of the cruise you haven't really seen everything yet and you'll want to come back again.